The layers of life are many. And inside of or in between those layers, how they are stacked atop each other. Not every moment is a good one. Not every moment comes with peace and joy and happiness and where the sun is shining and you feel bright. Not every moment is that way, and we know that. We know contrast. Things come along presenting hardships, trauma, chaos, confusion. We find ourselves perhaps feeling overwhelmed, misunderstood, depressed, agitated, frustrated, powerless. The gamut of emotion that no one would choose to feel. And if we're not careful, we begin to identify with those feelings, with those emotions. We begin to wear them like skin, walking through the days of our lives, consumed and overwhelmed by being overwhelmed and consumed. And I want to remind us that we are not our worst experience. We are not the weight and gravity of hardships. If you find that you are going through something devastating, something that leaves you feeling even debilitated, like you can't find your footing, it's hard to muster up the strength and wherewithal and presence to take a step forward in a direction that feels better. Even in those moments, you are not your experience. You are not the weight that you may be carrying right now. And this reminder is so that you not lose yourself in the quicksand of it, that you not allow yourself to believe your experience to be the totality of who you are, to be the totality of what will always come along the way of your path. It is not true. And it may be hard to believe because perhaps you're experiencing something back to back, and you're wondering, where is the reprieve? Where is the light at the end of the tunnel? And even if there's no light, is there an end to this tunnel that I've been crawling through? Yes, there is an end. So even if you have to slow your pace as you crawl, keep moving forward. Because again, you are more than the weight of the experience you're having. And when we're in the midst of something, it becomes easy to have our thoughts think us more deeply in the hell of that. We ruminate. We commiserate. We ask the why me, what's going to happen next? Something's always taking place. We go down this rabbit hole. We spin and spiral out as if the spiraling will free us to something better, and it doesn't. What it does is cause us greater suffering. The problem or the hardship is already enough. We do not need to then add greater suffering by massaging it in. You are not your hardship. You are not the pain. You are not the chaos or the agitation or the sadness or the melancholy. You are full and complete unto yourself. How might you ride the wave of your experience? How might you pause and ask, what may I do? Is there something I am able to do? And if so, to choose that. And if not, to exhale the reality that we cannot control all things. We do not possess all answers, but we can keep steady, keep our ears tuned to hearing the way, keep our eyes open, alert to the path. And when the information arises, which it always does, it comes up from some deep place within. Even if someone says something on the outside, the knowing latches on to some deep place within, and then we know in which direction to step, how to proceed. But when we just fall into the devastation of our experience and we lose ourselves there, then we add more layers of confusion. We add more layers of fog, which then delays our clarity. And clarity is how we free ourselves. May we be awake to the clarity. May we remember always that we are not our pain. We are having an experience, and we will allow that experience to run its course without losing ourselves, without overly identifying, because then what becomes of our desire to live? What becomes of our meaning and purpose if we allow ourselves to be so consumed by this negative experience that we're having? If we allow that, then how do we live from peace? How do we live in a meaning and purpose that's actually more vast? If I take my job, for instance, and I move through the days of my life as if my job is the source of my meaning and purpose, that means my attachment to that is so much so that if I lose it, I will no longer know myself. So when we overly identify with something, we risk separating ourselves from the truth of who we are. And then we lose ourselves when that thing we've overly identified with changes, becomes no more. Because we all know that impermanence is real. The only guarantee in life is change. And knowing that, we also know that a moment in time where we're experiencing the feeling of overwhelm or depression or anxiety or fill in the blank, if we allow it to just sweep over us and through us, we see how fleeting it is. And we experience the contrast where we return again to our joy, where we remember gratitude, where we have inner peace. But if we somehow believe that this overwhelm, this agitation, this depression is now who I am depressed, I am agitated, I am. When we identify from the I am place, then how do we allow these moments to move over, sweep through, and keep going? I am is as if you're grabbing it from the air. You're grabbing the pain from the air and putting it in your pocket. I am. Or you're grabbing the agitation, the overwhelm from the air, and you're swallowing it to embody it from the I am place. But if you note it, there's anxiety, there's fear, there's agitation. You note it, I see this. I feel how it is shaping itself in my life in this moment, and I'm going to give it its due and allow it to leave. In other words, the door must have been open for it to come my way, and I'm going to make sure to leave the door open so that it could leave and not just stay. I'm not inviting in depression, anxiety, sadness, and then closing the door and locking it so that I can keep it company. No. But when it comes along, I'm going to be a good host. I'm going to welcome it because it is a part of my now experience. And then I'm also going to make sure that the room and space is available for it to leave, because every guest comes and every guest goes. And being a good host to our experience is having compassion for ourselves. It's extending ourselves grace. And that's important. We need that, so as not to attach to it and then begrudge it and then massage it in like it's lotion. So today I am reminding us to return always to the center, to know truly who we are, even when we are experiencing contrast, something that's not peace, not joy, not cozy. To allow it its time, but to not massage it in like lotion, but to keep the door open, that it comes and it goes. And we are better for having experienced it, and we can release it to the no more. May we live awake for the fullness of ourselves, for the access of our good, and not believe that our hardships, the hardships that come along, are the truth in totality. No. May we return always again and again to the light. And we do that by not ingesting that which just needs to have a moment in time. May we give ourselves the fullness of our experiences and return again and again to wholeness.